Welcome. I'm excited today to talk to you about how you can create a shared reading experience for your community, your school, your context. And I'm excited to be a part of the Global Impact Virtual Conference hosted by ISTE community leaders with so much learning happening today, if you're watching on Saturday, April 27th, or beyond, if you are watching the archive. So a little bit about me. My name is Jennifer Casa Todd, and I am a teacher librarian. I'm an author, a keynote speaker, and a proud member of the ISTE Community Leaders Group. I've written a couple of books, and my passion really is helping students use technology positively and productively. And you will see how this will fall into play when with my passions. We are talking ISTE. So the first ISTE standard for students that this project really touches upon is being a digital citizenship. We want students to recognize the rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of living, learning, and working in an interconnected and digital world. And we want them to act and model digital citizenship in ways that are safe, legal, and ethical. In particular, this project asks them to interact with each other and so impacts their online behavior. As well, it's ISTE Standard 1.7 Global Collaborator asks students to use digital tools to broaden their perspectives and enrich their learning by collaborating with others and working effectively in teams locally and globally. And so this particular project really does focus on global connections, allowing your students to connect with others around the world, as well as providing them with multiple viewpoints. I love this quote by Neil Gaiman, and it talks about how fiction can be such a powerful tool for empathy. It allows us to get inside the minds and stories of others. It gives us the gift of seeing the world through their eyes. And when you take a story which already creates empathy just through its characters, through its setting, through the various themes within a book, and then you talk about the book with a variety of different classes around the world, imagine the amplification of empathy. And isn't that what we're looking for? We want all of our kids to develop empathy and see the world from the eyes of others so we can understand one another better. So all of this was inspired by Pernille Rep. She's amazing. If you don't know her, you need to follow her on all the socials. And many, many, many years ago, she created something called the Global Read Aloud, one book to connect the world. And you can go to globalreadaloud.com. You'll find, and I'll reference some of this year's titles. But the first time I ever got connected was in 2018 when the students in my book club read Alan Gratz's Refugee. I also shared the opportunity openly in our district, and many teachers participated for the very first time. It was incredible to see the kinds of things that some of my colleagues were doing. So Mr. Germain, Miss Masterson, the local high school in our district, they actually not only collaborated online, but allowed their students to create postcards. And it became kind of a pen pal program. And the kids loved receiving these amazing postcards. And this is a picture of kids in Paris actually receiving postcards from our students here in Ontario, Canada. Miss Cornelio's class, another colleague of mine, she and her students created PSAs to raise awareness about the refugee crisis and raised money for their school, which was, again, completely inspiring and incredible and prompted by the Global Read Aloud that year. The following so following that, my students, we had great conversations. We participated online in lots of different areas. And there's this one moment that I want to share, and it's one of the students who really disliked the book. And if you're in a book club, you know what that's like, right? You all get together, and some of the best conversations come about when somebody in the group doesn't like the book. So, student doesn't like the book, and we are going to compose a tweet. Now it's an X, I don't know, but anyway, so we're going to compose a tweet together. And the student says, what an oversimplification and stereotyping of refugees. And I said, oh, and then she was tagging the author. And I said, "Oh, can we talk a little bit about this and what are you trying to get at here? You're just trying to complain about the book. Why are you tagging the author?" So I wanted her to think a little bit about purpose and audience. What we want all of our kids to think about. So purpose, audience. And she said, well, no, actually, I really just want other stories that might not be so stereotypical. So we massaged the language and finally came at a tweet that the students all agreed was a good one. And it invited people to contribute their own ideas about stories of refugees. In the spring of that year, we were all reading a book together called Chaotic Good. And this was through our local White Pine in Ontario. There's a book festival called the Forest of Reading, and the high school version of that is White Pine. So for White Pine, we were reading Chaotic Good. And the kids said, Miss Todd, remember when we connected with other classes around those questions in this book? Could we do that again? I said, sure, absolutely. So we used the hashtag. We created a hashtag actually because that wasn't really commonplace with the Forest of Reading Festival at that time. So we created the hashtag White Pine Chaotic, similar to what the Global Read Aloud hashtag format was. And we invited other high schools and beyond to respond to us, and the kids created questions. So what a great opportunity. Kids creating questions. Isn't that what we want our kids to do? Don't we say that right now asking good questions is more important than finding information? So they asked great open-ended questions, and then we connected with other classes, and that was in 2019, so in spring. The following year, the Global Read Aloud was a book called The Marrow Thieves, and we were excited to embark upon this journey. And we had a bit of this was really neat because we ended up, this class and the teacher with whom I was working ended up collaborating with a couple of classes around the world and doing a physical exchange as well, similar to what you saw with the postcards. And we had connected with a classroom in Sweden who sent us candy unique to Sweden. And then we subsequently sent them candy unique to Canada. So that was a really neat and novel experience for our students. But at that time, we used Flipgrid. Now it's called Microsoft Flip, of course, but we used Flipgrid. And what was really powerful about that was we weren't just using a hashtag. Now we could get on and use video or audio or text to collaborate with others around this very powerful and beautiful book. And so that was a really, really positive experience for all of us. It built empathy, perspective taking, all the things. It was pretty remarkable. So then this year, I became part of the White Pine Steering Committee. So remember, Ontario has this Forest of Reading, and I volunteered to be the liaison with one of the authors. And so I read the book, As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow, by Zuffa Katu. And she is a Canadian author who's currently living in Europe. And I connected with her via email. I created a couple of resources for the White Pine Festival. And then I thought to myself, wow, wouldn't this be really cool as a shared reading experience? The book itself is very poignant, moving, tragic, but also full of hope. And it focuses on the Syrian refugee crisis, and in particular, a main character who lives in Syria at the time of civil war, and her perspective. I don't want to spoil the book. The book is excellent. And so I said to a teacher who had participated in the Global Read Aloud before, what about if we make this a shared reading experience? What do you think? And she said, oh, I love that idea. So I connected with IB classes around the world. Of course, the White Pine Festival is happening at this time this spring. So I've reached out to those people as well and used my network to also reach out. And so this is the crux of it. If you would like to create an opportunity, all you really need is decide on a novel, or if you're in an elementary school or a middle school, a book that would be interesting to discuss with other kids. So you decide on the novel, which is going to work in your own context. Because at the end of the day, if no one else joins, you're still going to have your kids respond to one another in a shared reading experience, right? I love Flip for the ability to be able to collaborate with others. Again, audio, video, or text. So it's very multimodal. It has an immersive reader. So I would recommend that you create a Flip group. And so that's what I did. I went to flip.com. I created a group for As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. Then I created a new topic for each prompt. And so what I did was I had an introduction prompt. I had a prompt which asked kids, which divided up the chapters or the book itself into a variety of different sections or chapters. I used AI to help me with this, and that was kind of cool. Then I shared it with other teachers at my school as well as within my network. And don't forget ISTE Connect. The app or website is a great place to be able to share this opportunity with others. Then I would consider creating a Google form for interest rather than sharing your Flipgrid group widely with everyone. That's just, for me, a cautionary measure. Ensure that you establish norms for participating and guidelines right at the beginning, because what you don't want is anything inappropriate to come out. Again, we're trying to practice being effective online citizens and global collaborators, and then just start. And that's basically what we've done. And this is the critical path for you if you'd like to create your own opportunity if you can't join ours. So just a few things if you've never created a Microsoft Flip. Flip itself has some really great videos to get you started, one for teachers, one for students. When you invite people with the link, you should make sure that your IT administrator has allowed Flip, because then students will be able to sign in right with Google or Microsoft. And so that works really well. And then you want to decide, do you want anyone with the link to join? Or do you want, and I'll make that a little bit bigger for you here. Do you want anyone with the link to join? Or do you want to approve people before they join? And that's really just a personal preference on your part. So decide that right before you share the link. And then what I did was I created a poster to go along with the link. And so here's the example of, I just did a who, what, where, when, why, how. I said senior high school students. The book, it does have some mature themes. I actually had to put it down a few times because I found it very disturbing. It basically takes place. The main character is a kind of a caregiver working at a hospital in Syria. So you can imagine. I said it was an online global book club. I said it's going to be on Microsoft Flip as well as using the hashtag White Pine Lemon. And I set a timeline for myself from March to May. I know that the Global Read Aloud has like a 6-week span, and I toyed with this. To be honest, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. But I figured March to May was open-ended enough that if teachers and students wanted to participate, that they could. And why? To learn from the perspectives of others reading the same book outside of your school community, to promote international mindedness, communication, and empathy. And in this case, to learn more about what it means to be a refugee. And I am so lucky and feel so grateful that the author had agreed to jump into the Flipgrid, to the Flip, in order to respond. Now, that doesn't always happen. But what's amazing with social media is with a click of a button or using their contact page, you could always ask if you are choosing a contemporary author. And so that is kind of incredible. So I provided instructions for students, and here are my instructions.
When you get the prompt from your teacher, you're going to click on it, sign in, allow your microphone, and start recording. It's very easy. In the introduction, for example, you're going to share who you are, where you're from, one unique thing about you, and what you're looking forward to in the reading experience. You can add text. You can also create some filters, and you can do that by just clicking on the legend on the left-hand side, picking the filter that you're interested in. There are pictures and GIFs and a variety of other things that you can use. Although you may be tempted to filter out your face completely, we would love to see you and respond to you accordingly. So you pick your filter, and the next step is to click the little button on the bottom, which allows you to record your response, and then you click on the button at the bottom, which allows you to go to the next step. Add a caption, take your cover photo, and press post to topic. You also have the ability to respond to other people's prompts. This is particularly important when you start to talk about the book in detail. So you just respond, and you can either respond using text and then press send, or you can actually respond using video. And you do the exact same thing you did before. You press the record button, you put your response in, you click, and then you confirm. And then your comment will be appearing at the bottom of the person's prompt. Have fun. Can't wait to connect.
So you're welcome to contact me, and I can give you that video or certainly create your own just to show students how to do it. You can also just provide the students with a YouTube link. As I said, the Flip has some great instructional videos in terms of how a student can just connect. I just wanted to personalize it. And so imagine how excited I was when the author decided that she was going to participate. So I'm going to show you two little clips. The first is her just introducing herself. So the first prompt for introductions is introduce yourself, tell us how to pronounce your name, which I think is important. And I didn't know how to actually say the author's name, so that was perfect. It's perfect that she answered that. But also, one thing that makes you unique, which I have saved, if you do join, I wanted that to be a surprise. But then she said something about the power of books and collaborating, which I absolutely love. So here she is introducing herself.
Hi, so my name is Zulfa, and it's not a very common name in Arabic. Not a lot of people are called Zulfa, so I think that makes me unique.
And then
what I'm looking forward from this shared reading experience, I think to make your worlds a bit bigger. I think reading in general is the closest thing that we have to magic. We experience journeys and adventures from pages, from paper, which is amazing. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
And this is not going to happen to you because this has never happened to me in my 30 years of teaching. But she was so gracious to even respond to some of the student prompts, which I thought was kind of amazing too. So this year, coincidentally, in order to share with my networks, I went onto the Facebook group, which I've been a part of since 2018, and said, hey, everybody, I created this shared reading opportunity, would love for you to participate. And then alas, As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow was actually the choice that Purnell made for this year's Global Read Aloud. And so you can certainly go on to globalreadaloud.com if it's too late for you to join my shared reading experience. But you can certainly go on to this or connect with any of the other books and other classes reading those books for the fall. I believe it starts at the end of October and goes into November for about 6 weeks. So that was really exciting. I said, and I reached out and I said, that's amazing. So what I will do is keep my own, this Flipgrid I keep saying Flipgrid, this Microsoft Flip active for the fall as well, because I think it would be really cool to just continue to add student voices to it. So that's it. I am as I said, I'm happy. Please reach out to me at jcasatodd on all the socials or jcasatodd.com if you would like to create a shared reading opportunity for your kids, but aren't quite sure, even after this presentation, how you might do it or just need some support. I would be more than happy. Certainly reach out into the ISTE Connect to me or to any of the other really amazing community leaders, and they can help you get started with global collaboration as well. Have a wonderful day and talk soon. Good luck.